Okay, we looks like we are live. Okay. Sorry guys, I was just kind of waking up a little bit. It's 6:40 in the morning. Um let's see here for the question that we have. Let's see here. Happy Saturday, everybody. Happy Saturday. Should Okay, here's a question, Justin. Should United States presidents have term limits? I think most people that live here in the United States know that a president gets a maximum of 2 terms, which is a total of 8 years at best. At best, 8 years. Um, it's the way I think it's the way it's always been, right? Yeah, it's always been um, 2 terms at the most, 4-year terms at the very most. A lot of presidents only get 4 years. Um, Honestly, like I know it might seem or sound un-American, but I would say um, I don't agree with them having term limits, especially if it's a really good president. Like, let's say some guy, I think you have to be 35 years of age or older to run for president. Let's say you get some really amazing 35-year-old in office. He's like transcending everything, he's doing the greatest job. Let's just say, hypothetically, he's doing the best job of all time, of any president we've ever had. He's young, he's fresh. Um, and everybody likes him. Let's just say like 80%, 90% of the country likes him, or she could be a female. um, and that president is doing an amazing job. They turn things around in like 4 years, although I personally don't think the president has a whole lot of impact or influence. Personally, that's just my opinion, but I'm just saying, let's just take it for what it is, and let's just assume that you're one of those people that buys into the fact that the president does make a big difference. Okay, for this hypothetical scenario, we get this 35-year-old president in office. He or she is turning everything around, making everything better in this country. um, Everybody loves the person. And after 4 years, or we'll say 8 years, 2 terms is up. Now they're 43 years old, which is still really young. And they've made the whole country 10 times better than it was 8 years prior. That just doesn't seem like the logic of them being gone and out of office now, and time to move on with a new person seems just so, I don't know, it just doesn't seem smart. It doesn't seem practical. I mean, it would almost be like you work at this company, a job, and you've got this amazing boss, this amazing manager, and he, in 8 years, has made the company the best company in the world, an amazing company. It's grown exponentially. It's huge. Everybody's happy with him. And then after 8 years, they're like, okay, it's time to move on. We need a new manager to take your role, and see how things go with that, with the new person. It's like, I don't know. I just never have understood term limits. Um, I just think term limits are kind of, I don't know, it just seems silly. I mean, I understand if the president themselves doesn't want to run anymore. Let's say they're done after 8 years and they're like, I want to relax now. Well, that's different. That's different. But if, say, the person is doing an amazing job and they don't have a problem staying in office after 8 years, I don't see why they should be booted out and time to start fresh with uh, crop, a new crop of candidates. I don't know, it just doesn't make a lot of sense. I know a lot of people that are true hardcore, you know, um, constitutional people. believe me, I believe in the Constitution. I'm just saying, I know a lot of hardcore people out there that really get into politics, American politics, would totally disagree with my opinion. And they would say, no, that's not American. We don't want a dictatorship, the same guy or same woman in office for 30 or 40 years. And I understand that. I understand the premise of that and the idea of that. Obviously, when you have somebody in office for 25, 30, 40 years, things could become corrupt, I guess, possibly, because that person's going to become more comfortable being in power. And they're going to probably, I guess you could say, they might be more likely to start implementing their own ideals and how things should be, whether it's good or bad. I totally get that. Totally understand that that could happen. And that's what does happen in a lot of these other countries that have dictators. But I think if everything was run the same way that it is now, 4-year terms, 4-year, each term's 4 years, keep that the same, but just allow the person to run infinite amount of times. Even if they've already served 2 terms, just allow them to keep running. And if the public likes them and they keep voting them in, as long as there's nothing shady going on with the elections and it's not rigged, then we'll know whether the American people want to keep that person in office beyond 8 years. Maybe they want them in for 12 years, 16 years, 20 years. So I don't really think that it would be dangerous having the same person in office more than 2 terms. I don't think that would be a bad thing. As long as everything's controlled still in a controlled environment where your votes are still being counted, because I've heard a lot of stories about these third world countries that have dictatorships where they have an election every so many years, but they say that the votes don't really count in those countries. They basically do it for show to say, hey, we're not a socialist country. We have elections. I wouldn't want that to happen over here, obviously, in the States. But as long as the elections are still fair and people want that individual in office, I don't see why they should be limited to just 2 terms, which is 8 years. I mean, think about it. 8 years to a lot of people might sound like a long time, but that's not really that long when you're dealing with all the problems that we have in our country. It takes a lot longer than just 8 years to solve, all the different various issues that we have, especially a country like this, as large as we are, the United States. 8 years is, I mean, hell, doctors go to college for what? 8 to 10 years, most doctors, some even longer than that. So think about that. The time it took some man or woman to earn their degree in college to get their doctorate degree and to become maybe like a doctor or a lawyer or whatever, that president's already gone now. He's finished because 8 years is up. And it just doesn't seem like a very long time frame, to me. Now, when I was a kid, I thought 8 years was an eternity. But as a 36-year-old adult now, to me, 8 years is like, I don't know, almost like the blink of an eye. So I think there should not be term limits as long as they continue to run these elections fair and equal, the way that it's been for pretty much our entire history, 250 plus years in America. As long as the elections are fair and the people their votes are being counted and no fraud or anything like that going on, I don't see why they don't just allow these politicians to run as many times as they want. That's just my take on it. Now, like I said, I don't agree with some of these other countries that have a dictator in office for 30 years and the citizens have no say-so in the matter. I don't agree with that. I'm not saying that's good. That's bad. When you don't even have a choice who the president is. But as long as you have a choice who you want in office, and as long as your vote counts, I don't really see the problem with having unlimited terms for presidents of the United States. Um, Again, that's just my opinion. I'm sure a lot of people would disagree, but I'm sure there's probably some people out there that would agree with me that if you got a guy or woman in office that's doing an awesome job, just a bang up job, perfect job, and the economy's thriving, the people's happy, that's the most important thing. Um, they should be allowed to keep reelecting the same person. Um, Again, that's just my 2 cents. I know it doesn't really matter what my opinion is, but I just think logically thinking and speaking, I think the logical thing would be to keep the person in office that's doing a great job instead of. I just think it's so silly because I know over the history of America, we've had great presidents that did great jobs during that 8-year period, a 2-term period. And then after that, they leave and a new person comes in and the economy falls apart. And again, whether that's the president's fault or not, I have no idea. I personally don't know, but I'm just saying it seems logical and more practical to keep somebody in office that's doing a great job if they want to stay. If they want to stay. Now, if they don't want to stay, that's different. Some guys only want to do 4 to 8 years, and then they want to move on because it can be a stressful lifestyle being the president. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this stream. I'm going to wrap it up. You guys know my streams are typically 10 to 15 minutes most of the time. I appreciate the support. I always, want to thank everybody that does watch these videos, these streams. Also, if you would hit the like button, subscribe also, and hit the notification bell, that helps me out a great deal. It helps the channel out. It helps you guys out for seeing my content if you guys enjoy my content. Also, leave comments down below if you have any suggestions or ideas or even criticism. If you have any request for, a stream, like this stream was a request from somebody. If you want to request a stream, you could go to the About section, click on that, and then click on my email and email me. I read my emails. So yeah, if you guys have any questions or suggestions for another stream, I'll be happy to read them and see about doing those, making it happen. You guys have a great rest of your Saturday, June 4th, 2022. And you guys all take care. Peace out, guys.